June 9, 1944, 6:23 a.m. Le Chambon-sur-Lignon, France. 3 days after D-Day. Pastor André Trocme stands at his church window watching an SS battalion roll into his village, and the first thing he thinks is not prayer or fear, but timing. Exactly how long until the children understand what the church bells mean? Exactly how long until 500 hidden refugees reach the forests? Exactly how long until 400 armed soldiers discover that this village of 3,000 French farmers has been lying to German authorities for 3 years straight, and the entire conspiracy is built on nothing more substantial than the collective willingness of ordinary people to look trained killers in the eye and lie without flinching. The SS convoy stretches for a quarter mile down the mountain road. Trucks carrying infantry, motorcycles with sidecars mounting machine guns, command vehicles with radio antennas reaching toward the morning sky like accusing fingers. Approximately 400 Waffen-SS troops from the 2nd SS Panzer Division Das Reich, diverted from their desperate rush toward Normandy to conduct one final sweep of this mountain village that keeps appearing in intelligence reports as a center of Jewish rescue operations. Their commander, Hauptsturmführer Julius Schmaling, has orders so explicit they might as well be carved in stone. Search every building. Interrogate every resident. Find the Jews. Previous searches by Vichy police found nothing, but Vichy police were incompetent locals who probably sympathized with the conspiracy. This search will be different. Professional, thorough, brutal if necessary. The SS knows how to break civilian resistance. They've done it across occupied Europe. One small French village won't stop them. What Schmaling doesn't know as his convoy enters the village square is that 23 minutes ago, a telephone operator in the next town called Pastor Trocme's wife Magda with a coded message about Thursday's meeting that doesn't exist. 18 minutes ago, church bells rang 3 short bursts that every child in this village has been trained to recognize since they were old enough to understand that some secrets protect lives. 14 minutes ago, approximately 500 Jewish refugees grabbed bags packed and ready in designated locations and began moving toward farms scattered across the surrounding countryside. 9 minutes ago, compromising documents disappeared into gardens, church walls, and hiding places prepared years earlier for exactly this moment. 5 minutes ago, false identity papers were distributed to refugees who couldn't evacuate quickly enough. Papers so expertly forged that German inspectors will approve them without realizing they're examining criminal fraud. By the time Schmaling's boots hit the cobblestones, the evidence he's searching for has vanished into 200 square miles of mountains and forests that would take his entire division weeks to search properly. The Jews he's hunting are already eating breakfast in barns 10 kilometers away, served by farmers who know exactly what will happen if they're discovered, but are hiding them anyway. The resistance documents he wants are buried under roses. The conspiracy he's trying to break is now operating in perfect coordinated silence. 3,000 people who will spend the next 3 days lying with such practiced precision that armed soldiers will question everything they thought they knew about interrogation. Trocme watches the SS establish checkpoints at every road leading out of the village. Soldiers dismount from trucks, checking weapons, receiving orders. Officers organize search teams. The machinery of SS efficiency begins operating with the confidence of men who have broken civilian resistance dozens of times before and see no reason this village should be different from any other. But Le Chambon-sur-Lignon is different in ways the SS won't understand until they've wasted 3 days searching and found nothing. This isn't a village where a few brave souls hide refugees while most residents collaborate or look away. This is a community where everyone, every farmer, every teacher, every shopkeeper, every child old enough to speak, participates in organized deception so widespread that breaking it would require arresting the entire population. Where lying to authorities isn't heroic resistance, but daily routine practiced so thoroughly it appears natural. Where children learn cover stories before they learn multiplication tables. Where 3 years of constant danger has transformed ordinary French farmers into the most effective civilian resistance network in occupied France. The SS expects to find hidden Jews within hours. They have no idea they're about to be defeated by housewives who can maintain perfect innocence while refugees sleep in their cellars, by school teachers who forge documents at kitchen tables, by 6-year-old children who will recite false identities under interrogation without breaking character, by an entire community united in the simple conviction that protecting strangers from genocide is worth any risk, including arrest, deportation, and execution. Trachmy closes his eyes briefly, not in prayer, but in mental calculation. 500 refugees evacuated to surrounding farms. 200 still in the village with false papers that will need to withstand inspection. 30 children in school whose real names must never be spoken. 17 farms actively sheltering families right now. 8 people in the village who can forge documents well enough to fool SS inspectors. 3,000 residents who must remember exactly which lies to tell and maintain those lies under pressure that would break most trained operatives. The mathematics of conspiracy, the arithmetic of survival, the calculation that has worked for 3 years and must work for 3 more days. He opens his eyes and walks downstairs to face the SS, carrying nothing but the practiced ability to lie convincingly to armed men who will kill him if they discover the truth, and the absolute moral conviction that deceiving murderers is not sin but the highest form of righteousness, that protecting the innocent by any means necessary is exactly what his faith demands, that he would rather die maintaining these lies than live with the guilt of betraying people who trusted him for protection. The battle begins now, not with weapons, but with words. Not with violence, but with coordinated deception so sophisticated it will take historians decades to fully understand how an entire community maintained conspiracy without a single betrayal. Not with soldiers, but with farmers who know exactly how to claim ignorance, teachers who know exactly how to forge papers, children who know exactly how to recite false identities. An entire population trained through 3 years of constant practice in the art of looking innocent while committing organized fraud on a massive scale. 3 days. 400 SS soldiers equipped with weapons, legal authority, and experience breaking civilian resistance across Europe. 3,000 French civilians equipped with nothing but lies, false documents, and the collective determination that protecting refugees matters more than personal safety. One conspiracy so successful that the SS will eventually leave convinced their intelligence was wrong, never realizing they were defeated not by lack of evidence, but by evidence so thoroughly hidden and protected by universal silence that finding it was impossible. Schmaling expects this to be simple. A small village, isolated, poor, populated by Protestant farmers who should crack under SS interrogation. His orders are clear. His methods are proven. His confidence is absolute. He has no idea what he's about to face. No idea that every door he knocks on will open to practiced lies. No idea that every child he questions has been drilled on cover stories since age 6. No idea that every document he inspects is potentially expert forgery. No idea that every resident he interrogates has rehearsed these exact conversations dozens of times and knows exactly how to maintain innocence under pressure. The SS is about to learn that military force has limits, that legal authority means nothing when entire populations refuse to cooperate, that training and equipment don't matter when fighting an enemy whose weapon is silence and whose shield is universal participation in coordinated deception. Welcome to Loup-Chambon-sur-Lignon, where 3,000 French farmers are about to teach the SS a lesson in the limits of force against organized civilian resistance, where children will prove better liars than trained intelligence officers, where the greatest victory of the French resistance won't involve explosives or assassinations, but something far more powerful. The simple refusal of ordinary people to participate in genocide, backed by 3 years of preparation that transformed amateurs into experts at the dangerous art of protecting strangers by lying to killers. The church bells have rung. The refugees have evacuated. The false papers have been distributed. The entire village knows exactly what's coming and exactly what to do. The SS convoy is parking in the square. Soldiers are dismounting. Officers are shouting orders. Search teams are forming. And Pastor André Trachmy is walking out to meet them, preparing to lie more convincingly than he's ever lied in his life, because failure this time doesn't mean arrest. It means the deaths of 500 people currently hiding in barns across the countryside, trusting that this community will protect them no matter what. The battle begins now. Trachmy watches Hauptsturmführer Schmaling step down from his command vehicle, a man in his 30s with the hard face of someone who has seen combat, who has conducted interrogations, who has broken civilian resistance before and expects to break it again. Schmaling surveys the village square with the calculating eye of a professional. Assessing terrain and population, he sees a poor mountain village, stone buildings, narrow streets, farming equipment, residents emerging from houses to see what the commotion is about. Nothing threatening, nothing impressive, just another French village that needs to be searched, interrogated, and cleared. What Schmaling doesn't see is the coordinated preparation. The mental inventory every resident is conducting right now, remembering which false names to use, which cover stories to maintain, which lies to tell. He doesn't see the children reciting their false identities one more time in their heads, making sure they remember every detail. He doesn't see the farmers calculating how long refugees can stay hidden in barns before hunger or cold forces them to move. He doesn't see the teachers mentally reviewing which documents they forged and whether the forgeries will withstand SS inspection. He doesn't see the entire village preparing for psychological warfare, for interrogation, for the most dangerous 3 days of their war. Schmaling sees farmers and teachers and children. Civilians who should be easy to intimidate, easy to break, easy to turn against each other through fear and threat. He has experience with this. He knows how civilian populations crack under pressure. Someone always talks. Someone always betrays secrets for safety or revenge or simple fear. Someone always breaks. He's never encountered outsmarted, where betrayal would mean betraying yourself because everyone is guilty, where secrets are safe because everyone shares them, where fear of SS interrogation is less powerful than the collective determination that protecting refugees is worth dying for. The next 3 days will teach Schmaling something he should have learned earlier in this war. That military force has limits, that some populations refuse to break regardless of pressure, that the most dangerous enemy isn't the one with weapons, but the one with absolute moral conviction. Backed by 3 years of practice in organized deception. But right now, in this moment, Schmaling is confident. His soldiers are armed and trained. His authority is legal and absolute. His orders are clear. His experience is extensive. He expects to find hidden Jews by afternoon and be moving toward Normandy by tomorrow, leaving behind a village that learned the cost of defying German authority. He has no idea that by tomorrow afternoon he'll be frustrated beyond measure, that by the day after tomorrow he'll be questioning his own interrogation skills, that by the third day he'll be receiving orders to abandon the search entirely because events in Normandy have made this village irrelevant compared to the strategic disaster unfolding on the invasion beaches. But that's tomorrow and the day after. Right now, at 6:45 a.m. on June 9th, 1944, Hauptsturmführer Julius Schmaling is organizing his battalion for what he expects to be a routine search of a small French village that intelligence says is hiding Jews. Pastor André Trocme is walking across the square to greet him, outwardly calm, inwardly calculating exactly how to answer questions, exactly which truths to tell and which lies to maintain, exactly how to protect 500 refugees by admitting just enough to seem honest while revealing nothing that matters. The first interrogation is about to begin. The first test of 3 years of preparation. The first moment when lies practiced in relative safety face testing by armed men who will kill if they discover deception. 3,000 people are watching, waiting, remembering their lines, preparing to perform the roles they've rehearsed for years in the desperate hope that performance will be convincing enough to save lives. The curtain rises. The show begins. And everything depends on whether amateur actors can fool professional interrogators, whether farmers can maintain innocence while hiding strangers, whether children can lie without hesitation, whether an entire community can sustain coordinated deception for 3 days against men trained to break exactly this kind of resistance. Schmaling and Trocme face each other in the village square, commander and pastor, hunter and protector, military authority and moral conviction, about to begin a confrontation that will determine whether 500 refugees live or die, whether 3 years of resistance ends in triumph or catastrophe, whether ordinary French civilians can defeat SS interrogators through nothing more than the willingness to lie and the skill to make those lies believable. The battle for outsmarted begins with a simple question that Schmaling asks, expecting a simple answer, not realizing he's asking someone who has spent 3 years preparing exactly how to answer while revealing nothing. Pastor Trachmy, we have intelligence that you're hiding Jews in this village. I'm ordering you to cooperate with our search and provide information about their locations. Failure to cooperate will result in arrest and deportation. Do you understand? Trachmy understands perfectly. The threat is real. The danger is immediate. Cooperation might save him personally while condemning refugees to death. Resistance might save refugees while condemning him to camps. The choice should be impossible. But for Trachmy, the choice was made years ago when the first refugees arrived asking for shelter, and he decided that protecting them mattered more than protecting himself. His answer comes calmly, carefully crafted to be technically truthful while revealing nothing useful. We're a Christian community, Hauptsturmführer. We help those in need regardless of their background. Many refugees have passed through during the war. People displaced by combat, families fleeing bombardment, individuals seeking shelter. I couldn't tell you their religious affiliations. We provide assistance and they move on. It's masterful evasion. He admits helping refugees, which Schmaling already knows or suspects. But he claims ignorance about their identities, which makes interrogation about specific people pointless. He acknowledges that people pass through, which explains why residents might mention strangers, but insists they don't stay, which means there's nothing to find now. Every word is calculated. Every phrase is designed to satisfy the questioner while revealing nothing actionable. Schmaling recognizes evasion when he hears it. This pastor is too calm, too prepared, too articulate for someone genuinely innocent. His story is too consistent, too perfectly phrased. But perfect phrasing isn't proof of lying. Calm demeanor isn't evidence of guilt. Without concrete evidence, actual refugees discovered, actual false documents captured, actual testimony that contradicts the pastor's claims, Schmaling can't make arrests that will survive even minimal administrative review. This pattern will repeat for 3 days. Questions that seem like they should produce answers. Answers that seem like cooperation but reveal nothing useful. Interrogations that should break civilians but encounter people who have spent years preparing exactly how to respond. Searches that should find evidence but discover nothing because everything incriminating evacuated before the SS arrived. 3 days of frustration for the SS. 3 days of terror barely masked by practiced calm for the village. 3 days that will ultimately prove that organized civilian resistance can defeat military force when entire communities commit to coordinated deception, when every resident knows their role, when 3 years of preparation transforms amateur resistance into professional conspiracy. But that's the summary. The reality is 72 hours of constant tension, moment-by-moment decisions, interrogation after interrogation, search after search, lie after lie, each one needing to be perfect because one mistake means death for people hiding in barns trusting that this community will protect them. The first interrogation ends with Schmaling dismissing Trachmy, frustrated but unable to prove anything. The pastor walks away, outwardly calm, inwardly shaking from adrenaline, knowing this was just the first test of hundreds that will come over the next 3 days. Across the village, soldiers begin systematic searches, knocking on doors, demanding entry, inspecting rooms, looking for hidden spaces, questioning residents about strangers, about unusual activities, about anything suspicious. And across the village, residents respond with practiced innocence. No, they're not hiding anyone. No, they haven't seen anything suspicious. Yes, refugees sometimes pass through, but nobody stays. Yes, they'll cooperate fully with the search. Yes, they understand the consequences of lying. Door after door, house after house, the same questions, the same answers, the same frustration for interrogators who know they're being lied to but can't prove it. In a farmhouse on the village outskirts, Madame Henriette Chauvel watches an SS sergeant search her home room by room, looking for the Jewish family that lived in her back rooms until 25 minutes ago when church bells rang and they grabbed their pre-packed bags and ran for the forests. The sergeant searches thoroughly, opens closets, checks under beds, examines the attic, finds nothing because there's nothing to find now. You live alone, madam? Yes, sir. Lie. Until 25 minutes ago, the Rosenberg family, now calling themselves the Rivieres, lived here. But they're gone now, eating bread in a barn 8 kilometers away. Have you had guests recently? No, sir. Lie. The Rosenbergs lived here for 18 months. We have intelligence that Jews are hidden in this village. Have you seen any strangers? Refugees sometimes pass through, sir. People displaced by the war. But I don't know their religions. Technically true, but completely misleading. She knows exactly which refugees are Jewish because she's been hiding them intentionally. The sergeant knows she's lying. Her answers are too smooth. Her demeanor is too calm for someone being interrogated by the SS. But knowing someone is lying and proving it are different challenges. Without evidence, he can't make arrests. He moves to the next house, adding Madame Chauvel to his mental list of suspicious residents who might be worth interrogating more harshly later if initial searches don't produce results. This scene repeats across the village. Soldiers searching homes, residents maintaining innocence, interrogations producing suspicions, but no proof. By afternoon of the first day, Schmalling's battalion has searched most buildings in the village center, interrogated dozens of residents, examined identity documents that all appear legitimate, and found nothing concrete. The refugees they're searching for are scattered across the countryside. Some are in barns 10 kilometers away. Some are hiding in forest clearings 15 kilometers distant. Some are in neighboring villages that received warnings and prepared their own hiding places. The 500 people who evacuated are eating donated food, sleeping in donated spaces, protected by farmers who know exactly what will happen if they're discovered, but are sheltering them anyway, because that's what this community does. Evening of the first day, Schmalling holds conference with his officers in the requisition school building that serves as SS headquarters. This village is hiding something. Every resident we interrogate tells similar stories. Too similar. They've been trained. Tomorrow we change tactics. We interrogate children separately from their parents. Children are weaker. They'll break where adults won't. It's sound strategy based on reasonable assumptions. Children typically lack the discipline to maintain complex lies under pressure. Children haven't been hardened by years of resistance. Children should be the weak links that break the conspiracy. What Schmalling doesn't know is that Lou Chambon's children have been living double lives since they were old enough to understand that some lies protect people. They've participated in dozens of evacuation drills. They've been quizzed on cover stories until they can recite them perfectly. They've watched adults maintain calm under questioning and learned to imitate that calm. These aren't innocent children who will accidentally reveal secrets. They're trained operatives who happen to be 6 years old. The next morning proves this in ways that frustrate Schmalling beyond measure. 8-year-old Jacques Trocme, the pastor's son, sits in an interrogation room facing an SS sergeant who towers over him. The room is designed to be intimidating, bare walls, harsh lighting, the sergeant standing while the child sits, psychological pressure designed to make children tell truth to make the scary situation end. Do you have cousins visiting your house? No, sir. We have reports of strangers at the pastor's residence. Who are they? Sometimes people visit father for church business. I don't know their names. True. People do visit for church business. Jacques is carefully not mentioning the Jewish families sleeping upstairs. Are any of them Jews? I don't know what that means, sir. This is a lie. Jacques knows exactly what it means. But the lie is delivered with perfect childhood innocence. The sergeant tries different angles. Questions about strangers. Questions about unusual activities. Questions about anything Jacques might have overheard. Every question meets answers that sound innocent while revealing nothing useful. The child's stories never contradict because he's telling the same lies he's rehearsed dozens of times. After 20 minutes, the sergeant releases him, frustrated but unable to prove an 8-year-old is lying. Down the hall, 12-year-old Hannah Hirsch faces more dangerous interrogation. She's a German Jewish refugee who arrived in 1941, who speaks French with a slight German accent she's worked 3 years to hide, who lives with the Trocme family under the false identity Helene Henry from Lyon, whose real German Jewish identity would mean immediate arrest and deportation if discovered. An SS lieutenant questions her in German, hoping to trick her into revealing her true identity by responding in her native language. Du sprichst Deutsch? You speak German? Hannah responds in French. Je ne comprends pas, monsieur. I don't understand, sir. This is the most critical moment of her interrogation. If she responds in German, she exposes herself. She maintains character perfectly. The lieutenant switches to French. You understand German. Your identity papers say your mother is from Alsace. That explains the accent, yes? My mother speaks German because she's from Alsace. I don't speak it myself. Lie. Hanna speaks fluent German. But admitting that means admitting she's likely not French, which means exposing herself as potential refugee. The interrogation continues for 40 minutes. The lieutenant asks about her background, her family, her history. Hanna answers consistently because she's recited this false biography hundreds of times. She's lived as Helene Henry for 3 years. The false identity is so practiced it feels almost real. Eventually, the lieutenant releases her without making arrest. He suspects she's lying, but her forged identity documents appear legitimate. Her story is internally consistent. Her French is fluent enough, and he has no concrete proof beyond suspicion. This pattern repeats throughout the second day. SS soldiers interrogate dozens of children. Every child maintains perfect stories. Every child recites false identities without hesitation. Every child understands that cooperation means death for hidden families. By evening of the second day, Schmaling is beyond frustrated. His battalion has been searching. For 2 days, they've interrogated hundreds of residents, including children. They've searched most buildings. They've examined identity documents. And they've found nothing that proves the conspiracy they know exists. The problem is that proving something exists and finding evidence of it are different challenges. The conspiracy definitely exists. Intelligence reports are clear. But the evidence is hidden so thoroughly and protected by such universal silence that finding it within 3 days with 400 soldiers is proving impossible. The third day begins with Schmaling preparing mass arrests. If he can't find evidence, he'll arrest on suspicion and hope that threat of Gestapo interrogation breaks people. But before he can implement this strategy, events beyond his control intervene. At 10:30 a.m. on the third day, a staff car arrives from Vichy carrying a government representative with orders that change everything. The Allies are succeeding in Normandy faster than projected. Every SS unit is desperately needed for counterattacks. Schmaling's battalion is ordered to abandon the search immediately and proceed to Normandy with maximum speed. Schmaling protests. He's been searching for 3 days. He knows Jews are hidden here. Another few days might break the conspiracy, but orders are absolute. Strategic priorities have changed. Normandy matters more than one French village. By noon on June 11th, the SS battalion is loading equipment and preparing to depart. The 23 residents arrested that morning are released. The searches end. The interrogations stop. The conspiracy has survived. As the last SS truck disappears down the mountain road, church bells ring celebration. Residents emerge from houses, embracing, crying with relief. 3 days of terror maintained behind practiced calm finally end. The refugees who evacuated begin returning from farms and forests. The village survived. Pastor Trocme stands in the square, exhausted beyond measure, watching. Through thousands of lies told to hundreds of interrogators, through universal participation in conspiracy that saved thousands of lives. That's not just history. That's instruction for anyone facing unjust authority, anyone wanting to protect vulnerable populations, anyone wondering whether ordinary people can make a difference. The answer is yes. Ordinary people can make enormous difference. Not through superhuman heroics, but through collective action, sustained commitment, practical preparation, and absolute refusal to cooperate with evil regardless of cost. 3,000 French farmers taught that lesson to the SS in June 1944. The lesson remains true today.